Welcome to Using Management to Prevent and Resolve Behavior Issues. This is a behavior and training video from Operation Pause for Homes. I'm Lisa, a certified trainer with OPH. This information applies to both foster and adopted dogs. So, what is management? Management is setting up the environment so the dog can't make the wrong choice. It's not traditional training, and it should never be aversive. It prevents the dog from rehearsing unwanted behaviors while training or waiting for new habits to form. Trainers often include management in a training program because it can offer some quick relief and it doesn't require much knowledge, skill, or time on the part of the dog foster or adopter. So why does management work? Well, patience and consistency are key in dog training success. Management takes pressure off the person and the dog, reducing stress all around. Management supports training by preventing bad habits from developing. Dogs learn through consequences and repetition. Dogs do what works for them. Behaviors prevented with management aren't accidentally reinforced or rewarded. Management breaks reinforcement cycles like barking gets attention. In other words, management changes the consequence chain. This helps dogs unlearn bad habits by avoiding reinforcement of those bad habits. So let's get into a few specific issues now. Management of barking at home and in the yard. There are different types of barking, and this applies to what's called alert barking. Alert barking mostly happens due to sights or sounds. Management here is physical and preventative. Some ideas to try are blocking the view, using window film, curtains or shutters, other types of barriers, using some things on the dog itself, such as a happy hoodie for noise or a thunder cap for sights. Also, you can try adding sound masking, white noise, or music. Classical music can be especially effective. When outside, you should supervise the dog and possibly use a leash. Let's move on to management of jumping on people. For jumping, I actually prefer training. However, it's very important that dogs never get attention or affection for jumping on anyone, even if the person is okay with it. Some ideas to try are to use a leash or tether to prevent jumping during greetings. If the dog is comfortable in a crate, try using that. You can also use a gate at entryways or at certain parts of the home. And there are even types of harnesses that discourage jumping. Let's move on to chewing and destructive behavior. Dogs need to chew for several reasons: to relieve teething pain if they're puppies, to keep their jaws strong, and to explore their environment. They also chew for stress relief and due to boredom. You should both manage access to illegal things and provide legal outlets for chewing. Remember to always supervise dogs with chews. Chews shouldn't be too soft, not offering your dog any good chewing, nor should they be too hard. Things like antlers can actually break teeth. So again, some ideas are to remove temptations such as shoes, laundry, trash, but again, provide safe chews, kongs, bully sticks, tendons, etc. You should rotate chews to keep interest. Also use confinement, crates, playpens, and close doors as needed. Okay, management of stealing food off of counters, otherwise known as counter surfing. For counter surfing, I again prefer training. However, again, it's very important that dogs never succeed in getting food. As you can imagine, that's highly rewarding if they do get it. So management is essential. So some ideas here are to never leave food out, use baby gates or close kitchen doors, block access during food preparation. You can also try temporarily placing strips of foil or double-sided tape on counter edges. That may discourage this behavior. Let's go on to management of barking and lunging on walks. For reactivity, the long-term answer is training, not management. However, again, it's very important that dogs avoid practicing this behavior, so management is essential. When a dog reacts, which is almost always due to fear, and the trigger, whether it's a dog or a person, vehicle, whatever, leaves, the dog learns that barking and lunging makes that scary thing go away. So some ideas you can try in the realm of management include trying different times or routes to avoid triggers, using distance and barriers, for example, a parked car, a tree, if there is a trigger around. Also, try carrying great and smelly treats for redirection and just to keep the focus on you, even if you never give the treats to the dog. Also, the right equipment can make a big difference. That right equipment is probably going to be a good quality front clip or no pull harness or possibly head halters. Okay, speaking of walks, let's move on to pulling on a leash. So for polite or loose leash walking, as it's also called, training is again the long-term answer. However, again, it's very important that dogs avoid practicing pulling, so management is helpful. When a dog pulls and gets to where they want to go, for example, to go smell a bush, the dog has learned that pulling gets them what they want. So therefore, it's important not to let that happen. Some ideas here are to, again, use a good no-pull harness or head halter. Never use a retractable leash. That's teaching the dog the exact wrong thing. Walk in low distraction areas and use the same short, boring route until walking improves, even if you have to do that route 5 times to get enough of a walk in. You want to avoid novel stimulus with the dog. Also keep those smelly treats on you to keep focus on you. Okay, let's move on to puppy nipping, which can actually also happen with adult dogs. Puppies nip for attention or to initiate play. It usually works, so they continue. Redirection and confinement are the best management strategies. So one idea is to simply redirect the nipping to a chew toy. Another idea is using what are called latch ropes. Moving objects, feet, pant legs, rope hems, tempt puppies. Keep several latch ropes handy. When you walk between rooms, grab a latch rope and drag it behind you. Latch ropes can be made simply from braided strips of old towels or sheets. Other ideas are to use gates and crates for calm down time, and also to designate a room for timeouts if the puppy keeps nipping. The puppy nips, they get a short timeout. And lastly, management of house training issues. Supervision and confinement help prevent accidents. So use a leash or tether indoors for supervision and confinement when unattended. Use a Schedule with frequent potty breaks. Out first thing in the morning, last thing at night, and every few hours during waking hours. Of course, this will depend on the dog. Also, try using a potty spot and a scent marker. So by that I mean choose a dedicated potty spot outside. That's the potty spot. Then place a cloth scented with the dog's urine on the ground when you take him out. You do this because scent marking encourages your dog to potty there. Also, if there is an accident, be sure to use a cleaner with enzymes for accidents. In conclusion, management is a truly critical part of dog training, helping to prevent or resolve issues. I highly recommend the book, Manage It: Hacks for Improving Your Dog's Behavior. In fact, this presentation was inspired by that book. Thanks so much for watching.